Adventures with Words, email magic. Now, some people say to me, well, is this webinar going to be, is this topic going to be relevant for me? Because I am not an email marketer. I don't use email. I just use social media. I'm active on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, or something like that. I get my leads from there, and then I chat to people. And, you know, before long, some of them do some business with me, hopefully. Don't use email. All right, no problem at all. No problem at all. I've been using email for years, but look, at the end of the day, it's all about messaging. So even if you don't use email and you have no intentions of building an email list and communicating with your list via the written word in email form, you'll still get value from this lesson today. You will, because it's about messaging, isn't it? And it's just different ways of messaging people and informing them, educating them, and persuading them. Okay. On the other hand, if you don't use email currently, but you think you might in the future, well, obviously this is going to be even more relevant to you. And then the last group of people we have watching this presentation or this training, of course, are people who are actively involved with email marketing now. You've got a list, or you're building a list, and you're communicating with your list regularly. And perhaps you're looking to fine-tune what you're doing. Now, I've been email marketing for probably about 8 years. Off the top of my head, I wouldn't have a clue. Probably about 8 years. And you know, I kind of specialize in building boutique lists, not massive lists. I've never spent much money on cold traffic. Easy to build a list if you just buy tons of cold traffic, but the list will invariably be non-responsive or minimally so. Okay, so I specialize in building boutique lists, using my techniques to warm people up, so that they do business with me. And my email marketing activities have made me, oh goodness, I don't know, it's I don't know, I've probably sold over $1 million worth of stuff just from email marketing alone over that period. So when I first got started in the online world, I didn't know anything about email marketing. Obviously, I could send and receive an email, no problem. I didn't know anything about it. So I left it alone. I just used a very simple model. I generated leads online, and then I phoned them. I didn't worry about building a list or anything like that. But that changed after a couple of years, and so here I am all these years later, and I'm an email marketer. I'm probably not quite as avid as I was, say, a year ago, 2 years ago. Back then, I was sending emails virtually, well, 6 or 7 days a week. But I decided that I wanted to embrace social media much more than I had in the past. And that takes up a fair amount of time, as you probably well know. And I was getting good results with social media anyway. So when I made the shift about a year ago, and so I downgraded my email marketing activities a bit. So I don't send emails quite as frequently now. Maybe four times a week. Sometimes only 3. Occasionally I'll do 5 a week, but certainly the seven days a week thing is now finished. I more or less have the weekends off from sending emails. Okay. But my list is still reasonably responsive, even though my activity level has dropped. I'm still doing business from my list. I've got some people who have been on my list for 6 and 7 years. And some of those people have never bought anything from me, but they stay on my list and they're opening my emails. One day, maybe the penny will drop and they'll spend some money with me. Who knows? On the other hand, I've got people who've been on my list for several years and I didn't do anything, and then all of a sudden they did. You know, just one of those things. It's just the drip feed method there. their circumstances change perhaps, and now they're open to opportunity. Or maybe just one of the email. Look, I'll give you a classic example. I had a guy. I should be talking to you direct to the camera here, but I just had this thought, a bit of free flow consciousness stuff. But a classic example: a guy who had been on my list for at least 2 years. He's in Australia, in Western Australia, and he hadn't done anything with me at all over that 2-year or 3-year period, whatever it was. Hadn't done anything, but received my emails. Then all of a sudden, a week ago, he reached out to me, and more or less via email. I think he made an inquiry from one of my emails that had a link in it, and he clicked on the link, and then he opted in to another list, which was a business opportunity list. And he made an inquiry. So I phoned him. Okay, I still phone people, but not as much as I used to. I kind of vet them more now. But so I phoned him, and this would have been the middle of last week, something like that. And I had a good chat to him, and he said to me, he said, "Look, I've been on your email list for quite a while, but I just wasn't ready to do anything. My circumstances have now changed, and so I am ready. I stayed on your list because I like your stuff." And I've lost count of how many people have said that to me. Does that mean that everybody likes my stuff? No, they don't. Some of them hate it, right? And they get off my list. Goodbye. You're not for me. I don't care. I don't want you. I only want people that are fans, right? So I don't care if people unsubscribe every day of the week, and I do. I get unsubscribes every day of the week. Fortunately, I've got new people coming on as well, so that's fine. But there's a lesson there for you. Stop trying to please everybody, because you can't. You can't. You need to stand for something, and you need to kind of map out your own style and create your own voice. That's important. And when you do that, you'll find that some people love it and some people don't. But I'd rather have a list comprised of 1,000 people who are raving fans than 100,000 people who couldn't give, I was going to swear there, but who couldn't care less about you. Wouldn't you rather have 1,000 people on your list who really like your stuff? Of course, because even if only 5% do business with you, that's 50 people. And of course, if you're adding new people on a regular basis to your list, well, beautiful thing, beautiful thing. But what if 10% of the 1,000 end up doing business with you? That's 100 clients. Who knows when they're going to do business with you? Some are ready now. Some might be ready for a month or two. Some may not be ready for a couple of years. But is this your vocation? Is this your career or not? Is this the sort of thing you're going to be doing for the rest of your life? That was the decision I made when I first got started, particularly after I made my first money, my first dollars. I said to my wife, I said, right, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Well, here I am 10 years later. So email marketing is the same. It's something that you make a commitment to do it, and you just do it. Years later, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it. I couldn't imagine a week passing without me sending at least a few emails to my list. All right, let's get started. There's a new photo. I like that photo because of the color, the background there. This is up on the roof, the apartment building I'm staying in Siem Reap, and they get some pretty cool sunsets. Being in the tropics, and sometimes the sun is coming through there, and you get this beautiful glow as the sun is kind of getting closer to that point where it's sunset and nighttime encroaches. So this one was just taken a little bit before then. I kind of like the color, the color of the clouds and so on. Okay, now Key points. Take good notes, write down your questions, ask your questions at the end. Standard stuff, isn't it? Be creative. Think how you can apply what you learn. Yeah, that's important. And be active. Take immediate action if you can. Now, the topics. We're going to look at basic principles, the 4 types of emails. I might say this is probably not the definitive list, but it's a good starter list for newbies particularly. The subject line, we'll talk about that. The body copy, and the call to action. So they're the 3 primary elements of an email message. I could include a 4th. What might that be? Yes, the PS. The PS. I usually include a PS, not always, but I try and include a PS. Sometimes people will scroll down and look at the PS first. That's the way it is, and that really it just suggests that there's no real change to messaging when we're comparing, say, the online world with email marketing versus the offline world with an old-fashioned sales letter. Hard copy form. I used to do that. I used to write sales letters years ago when I was a copywriter, and this is like 15 years ago. And I used to send out sales letters for clients. I used to write sales letters for clients, and always would include a PS, because I knew that that's one of the first things, if not the first thing, that people look at when they open that sales letter. They'll scan it first and they'll read the PS. And why? Because they think maybe the punchline will be in the PS. And if that looks good, well, then they'll go up and they'll read the whole thing. They'll read the entire sales letter. By the way, long copy does work. It's an urban myth that long copy doesn't work. That's a load of nonsense. It does work. Even in the internet age, it still works. Okay, there are some differences now, but long copy works. When I was in the offline world and doing client work back in the 1990s, I'd write sales letters that were like 3 pages, sometimes 4 pages long. Now, as long as the copy was good, as long as the creative was good and we had a good offer that was relevant to the people that were sending the letter to, converted like crazy. I remember one that I did, I'm digressing a bit, but this will feed into the narrative for today. You'll see how it all works in a minute. But I remember one sales letter that I did was for an association, an air conditioning association, and they wanted more members. They wanted, their target audience was air conditioning people, air conditioning companies, service companies, that sort of thing. And they wanted more members, all right? And they had a list of all of the air conditioning contractors in New South Wales, which is one of the states in Australia. And they had tried they'd tried sending sales letters to their email, to their list of contractors in the past. And they were lucky to get 1% response. So they approached me to see if I could make a difference. So I studied the industry a bit. They gave me a bunch of material about the industry and their association and so on. And they were selling a membership fee, okay? That's basically it. They wanted people to join the association by paying a membership fee, which gives them more revenue. So after reviewing all of their materials, I came up with a format. And I can't remember whether it was 4 pages or 3 pages, but I remember it was multi-pages, because I remember they had to send them to the printer for stapling, right? So because there were too many pages just to put them loose into an envelope. That mail out got a 10% response, which is 10 times the best response that they had previously when they were doing it themselves. So there's a couple of lessons there. Professional copywriting works if it's good, and long form copy, because this was a long form sales letter. Previously, they just sent out like a one-page sales letter, possibly 1.25 pages. That's it. But they didn't tell the story. And I'm a great believer in telling the story, building the narrative. Okay. So today we're going to, as I say, you can see it there, basic principles, 4 types of emails. Let's get started. Basic principles, including some tips. Mail often. Timing is important. Spend more time on your subject lines. Mix it up. Include something valuable in each promotional post. That's an error. How did I do that? Include something valuable in each promotional email. So scrub the word post, put email in. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one. Mail often. Yeah. Now, there has been an ongoing debate in the industry, in the online marketing industry, about frequency of emails. I am firmly in the camp that says mail often, definitely. Now, there are some people that say, oh, I'll only mail once a week, or only mail every couple of weeks, or something like that. Only mail when you've got something worthwhile to say. Well, my attitude is that you should have something worthwhile to say every week and multiple times a week, preferably. If you haven't, well, what business are you in? Maybe the business you're in isn't a very good one. You haven't got ideas that you can parlay into a potent little email message. Well, it just tells me that something's wrong. So mail often, yeah, and ideally you would mail daily, but if you're in my position, well, I've just got probably too much on my plate. I can't mail daily, but I still mail 4 times a week, sometimes 5. I think last week it was 5. This week will only be about 4. Okay, next week I might bounce back to 5 again. That's fine. Now, the reason why we need to mail often is so that we keep our name in front of them. We keep reminding them who we are. That's one good reason. And who knows, they might be in the right mood, right place right now to do some business with you if you send them an email today. Who knows? You don't know. But I can tell you something, and particularly in the internet age, in the internet era that we live in, people have got very short attention spans, notwithstanding the point that I made before about long copy. If they're in the mode, if they're in that highly interested mode, they will read long copy, but that's a digression. But they will forget about you as quick as anything. They will forget about you, and it's not the only reason why they'll forget about you. If your emails are boring, if the creative side of it is not working, they'll forget about you anyway. They'll just delete you. They won't even open your emails because they know it's you. See, I get, with some of my older lists, I get my email rate is probably below 10% now. But there will be some people who are watching this training and gobsmacked with that because they're not even getting 1%. I've got lists, in the early stages, if somebody opts into my list, quite often the open rate is 50% plus. So why? Because I train them about what I'm about, and if they don't like it, well, they opt out, but if they do like it, they stay in and they look forward to it. Okay. But the mailing often is important because they will forget about you, particularly if your stuff is bland and boring. But even if it's not, if I didn't email my list for a month or two, it'd be mighty hard for me to get back into their, what we might call, good books. It'd be mighty hard for me to do that. Okay? They've forgotten about me and they've moved on. The vacuum always gets filled, doesn't it? It'll get filled with someone else. And it's hard for me to get back into their crowded little brain. You see? I want to occupy a place of their brain, no matter how infinitesimally small. And if you vacate the field, well, that little part in their brain is going to be filled with someone else. It's absolutely certain that will happen. And it becomes harder to get back in there. Look, they made the inquiry in the first place. They're looking for information. Presumably they're keenly interested in that information, we'll give it to them. And give it to them in all sorts of different ways. Okay, so mail often, it's important. If they, this is one thing people have said to me, so, well, I wouldn't want to receive emails about this particular topic. Well, of course you wouldn't. If you're not interested in that topic, of course you don't want to receive emails. Why would you even opt in the first place? But if you are genuinely interested in that particular topic and you've been searching for answers, well, I say that you will look forward to getting emails, providing, you know, they're relevant and they're good quality. You will look forward to getting them on a regular basis, and that's daily. Okay. Now, I know that there are some marketers out there that will send 2, 3, and 4 emails a day. Now, to me, that's going too far. It's a good way to burn your list. But there are some good people. There's a guy called Sean Myers that does it, but in the end, I unsubscribed. I've been on his list for a while because I liked his stuff, but in the end, no, I've had enough of this guy. It's driving me nuts. It's an insult. It's intrusive. But one a day, fine. The only time where I'll break that rule is if I've got a specific offer with a deadline, and I do that quite a bit. I haven't done it for about a month. Oh, yeah, maybe about 3 weeks. And what I'll do is I've got the deadline. I'll do a countdown sequence. Okay, so the countdown. I might start letting them know that the offer is going to close in 3 days. In 3 days' time. So I you know, every day I let them know that there's 3 days left, 2 days left. On the final day, I'll sometimes send 3 in one day. And that does work when you've got a time limited offer and it's closing. That does work. Okay, timing is important. That's the next one. When should you send your emails? Well, my favorite times are evenings. The person's come home from work, they've had their evening meal, they sit down and see what's happening maybe on the TV, but they also check their emails and messages on Facebook or whatever. Okay, I like that one. Another option is mornings, early, perhaps when they're not long after they've woken up. Of course, it doesn't always work because some people do not check their emails. They're in a hurry and they just go to work, okay? And they may not check their emails, I don't know. They might check their work-related emails, but we're talking about personal emails, aren't we? So they may not check them till lunchtime or perhaps in the evening once again. So I prefer the evening. Now, if you're with an autoresponder service such as GetResponse and others, there are ways of segmenting. This works well if you've got a list that's, you know, comprised of people who are in different time zones. But if your list is mainly, let's say you're in North America, you're in the US or Canada or something like that, and that's where your list is, well, not an issue. If it was me, I would send my email out in the evening. Spend more time on your subject lines. This is really important, and it's no different to the old thing in the offline world when you're doing sales letters, your headline. Headline is everything, or ads, advertising. The headline is the most important thing because it doesn't matter how good the body copy is if you can't get them to read, or at least, let's say, email, you can't get them to open the email, well, all that time you spend on the body copy is completely wasted, isn't it? So the subject line, sometimes I'll spend more time on the subject line than I do on the body copy. If I'm just doing a simple email, not a long email, I'm just doing a simple email, and to be honest, most of my emails these days are they are shorter. But if I've got a good story to tell, yeah, I'll definitely still use the long copy format. But because I'm in a hurry, I'll tend to, most of my bread and butter emails are shorter. I can prepare one of those in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's it. On the other hand, the subject line, well, sometimes I've labored for an hour over a subject line because I know how important it is, you see. Other times I'm lucky. I get an idea and then for a good subject line after a minute, no problem. It just depends. Mix it up. So, yeah, mix it up. So different types of subject lines. There are different categories. We're going to look at that in a minute. Doesn't need to be always about business, doesn't need to be always a hard sell approach that you take. Mix up the style of the copy of your email as well. Mix up your offers. If you just keep hitting the same old offer all the time, they're going to get jaded. They're going to get sick of it, aren't they? And look, these points, at least some of them, apply to what you're doing on social media. Mix it up. Mix up your content. If you're promoting a particular offer, do it professionally, of course. You don't want to come across as a pitch merchant, but mix it up. Change your offer. Quite important. People do have short attention spans, so you've got to vary it. Another thing that I do, this is something I do for email marketing, but also for social media and other types of marketing, is that I'll retrieve old ideas from previous emails that I've sent in the past and regurgitate them and send them out again. Because some of the people who might have received it in the past didn't read it, they weren't mentally in that right place. There may have been other people on my list who didn't even open the email, and now they do. Maybe I changed the subject line, but the body copy is the same. See, so circumstances change, interest levels change, people are emotional, everything is up for grabs. So don't be worried about sending out the same message that you sent out 3 months ago or 6 months ago. It means you don't have to keep creating content yourself. You can just keep regurgitating it. I'm regurgitating content all the time on Facebook. Most people don't even notice, but I am. I have a schedule, you see. Yeah. Now, okay, so let's mix it up. Include something valuable in each promo post if you can. Some you can do there are a couple. I'm going to look at the different types of promotional posts in a minute, but you can do the pure hard sell promotional post. You can do that, but me, I don't like to do it every time. Even if I'm promoting something, I'm promoting a specific offer. I'll mix it up. Okay, so I'm promoting this particular offer. Sometimes I will lead with value and I'll just mention the offer at the end. Other times I'll just come out with all guns blazing for the particular offer. Okay, but even then I'll still try and make it a little bit interesting, perhaps a little bit humorous, so that they do get some value other than the core, other than what I'm talking about with the offer itself. So look, try and include something value in each, or let's say most of the emails that you send out. That'll help to keep people on your list longer, help to build more trust, build a better relationship. Okay. Now here's another one. Don't flog a dead horse. If the offer that you're promoting just isn't working, it stopped working, it doesn't have a deadline, it's an evergreen type of offer. Let's say you're an affiliate marketer or something like that, or you're a network marketer, and you're in the same company. Well, how many different ways can you dress it up? You know, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still going to look like a pig, isn't it? Not saying that your business is a pig, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. If it's just not working and you've tried every which way to mix it up and to make it more interesting, give it more sizzle, come from different angles and all the rest of it, and it's just not working, well, don't try and flog a dead horse. Come up with something else. Something come up with another idea that could segue into your primary offer. It could lead into your primary offer, but sometimes I'll come up with a cheap offer that I've found from somewhere else, okay? And it might be a $20 offer or something like that, or a $10 offer, and then some kind of a training product, something like that. And then I'll promote that. I get some sales and they go onto another list, and then that I've created for this particular promotion. And then I can send them a series of emails adding value to their buying experience, but I might drop in my core offer to them, even though they've seen it before. Maybe they see it differently because they're on a new list now with a new theme, with a new narrative running through that list, if you know what I mean. So, but look, don't flog a dead horse. If it's not working, give it a break. Come back to it in a month or two. But don't neglect your list. Still keep sending them something at least several times a week. Even if you don't send them anything that's promotional, just an idea, a tip, anything. Send them something. Just keep your list ticking over there. Just keep it warm, okay? Because as soon as you neglect them, bang, they're gone, as we said before. Get your emails open. Well, I think you got that message loud and clear by now. It's imperative that you get your emails opened. The other thing that's imperative is to get them to read the opening paragraph, because if you can get them to read the opening paragraph, and if that paragraph segues or leads them into the next paragraph, each paragraph is linked, right? So the current paragraph is linked to the previous paragraph and so on. So you want to get your emails open and you want to get your emails read. Understand the primary motivators: desire for gain and fear for loss. Now, I covered this on the previous lesson, but it's critically important. So most of the emails that you're going to send out are probably going to appeal to desire for gain and fear of loss. So that includes your subject lines, but not always. Not always. There are exceptions, and I'm going to show you some exceptions. There are some significant exceptions. I get my emails open now even when I don't appeal to desire for gain and fear of loss. But if you're just starting out, that's the safest approach to take. Desire for gain, fear of loss. So you create a subject line, you create an email format that appeals to one or both of those human motivators. They're both very emotional motivators, aren't they? Match message with audience. Doesn't matter how good your messaging is, doesn't matter how good your email is. If it's not relevant for your audience, well, they're gonna tune out, aren't they? So it's very important. The target audience it's critically important that you understand your target audience. And then when you understand what their pain points are, their hot buttons, their aspirations, their fears, all the rest of it, well, then you can create a series of messages that will hit the spot with that audience. Okay, so that's really important. So you've got to put your audience on a pedestal, and then you work back from there. All right. So it's not so much about what you want. It's really more to do with what they want. What are their needs? What's going to really turn them on? What's going to get under their skin and get them to take action? Now, let's look at 4 types of emails. We've got the full-on promotional email, which I mentioned before, and pretty well self-explanatory, isn't it? Full-on promotional email. A little bit of a hard sell, you might say. Then you've got the value-led promotional email. So you lead with some values, some ideas, some tips, a story, whatever, and then you have your pitch, if we can call it that, towards the end of the email. So we don't lead with the hard sell. All right. You've got the pure value email that you're not promoting anything today. You're just giving them pure value. Maybe you'll include a link, maybe it's be a link to a valuable YouTube video or something like that. It could be a lifestyle focused email. This is where you share a little bit of yourself. This is to do with relationship building. A more sophisticated approach. It's a more nuanced approach, okay? But you do these things, you will find that people will love you for it and they'll stay on your list for longer. You're not going to burn as many people, okay? Now, of course, there are people out there who only work with one type of email format, and that's number 1. It's just hard sell all the way. And they say it works. But they also would, if they're honest, they would say, I get a lot of unsubscribes, but they've got so much traffic happening. They're spending a lot of money on traffic, perhaps. They're getting a lot of opt-ins. And I don't care if they burn heaps of people, okay? It's just a numbers game. It's mud against the brick wall. Okay, so 2 ways to do it. When I started out in the commercial world as a young man, I was trying to sell insurance. I wasn't very good at it, but I was trying to sell insurance. And I quickly learned that there were two types of insurance people. There were the mud at the wall type people, and they were the policy peddlers. Okay, so they'd go out and they just pitch. They do enough pitches in a day. Hey, they're going to make some sales because they're working on the numbers game, aren't they? And then you've got the other type who's more of a value builder, more of a farmer. He's got some hunting qualities as well, because you can't really make money if you don't have a bit of the hunter in you. And he is building for the longer term. He doesn't like the idea of burning people. All right. Same with, say, network marketing. You're a team builder. You could be a pitch merchant and you just sign people up and basically love them and leave them. Or you could help them get started, help to set a fire underneath them, help them to get excited by helping them sign up their first person, etc. Okay, which person is going to build a more stable and longer term business? I would say it's the second person. So that's the approach that I take. But hey, if you want to be a pitch merchant, that's up to you. But that's it. So I take a balanced approach. It's a nuanced approach. It's a little bit longer term. But hey, here I am 8 years later with email marketing, and I still make money from it. A lot of those pitch merchants that I had a look at all those years ago, they're gone. They're finished. They've burnt themselves out. So that's the other thing. They burn themselves out. But they burn out their list anyway. And then if the financials aren't working, all of a sudden, then it's costing them a lot more money to get people onto their list. Now they're finding that it's not such a smart idea to be losing people from the list. People are unsubscribing in great numbers because of the method that the guy is using. Before, he could justify it because he had so many people coming in at the front end, it didn't matter, right? But maybe now he has to cut down on his advertising because the sales aren't converting as well. Cost of advertising is going up, you know. So now the economics are not working in his favor, you see. Whereas you got somebody like me who specializes in building boutique lists and warming people up and all the rest of it. I don't need to spend any money on advertising. And if I do spend money on advertising, number one, I'm going to be careful about how I spend the money. But number two, I'm going to be doing it my way, which means that my unsubscribe rate will be a lot lower than it will be for the pitch merchant. So the economics work for me, you see. Okay. Now, the subject line. I'm going to give you examples, some of these techniques in a minute. Don't worry about it. Chill. Types of subject lines. You've got appeal to greed. You've got fear-based, quirky. These last two are probably a little bit more difficult. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite easy, particularly if you're the right sort of personality. The quirky's easy for me. It's because I am a quirky person. You know, I'm a little bit eccentric. I come from a long line of eccentrics. So quirky is really easy for me. I think what I would say is an incredible sense of humor. So I can see humor in all sorts of things, and there are a lot of marketers out there too damn serious, and they need to lighten up a bit. Because particularly if you're using social media or even email marketing, people are looking for a little bit of entertainment value as well. So that's one of the reasons why I mix it up with my emails, so that I can put a smile on their face. They're getting entertained, you see, and then they look forward to my emails. Okay, slice of life is another good one. I know when I was looking at this the other day, when I was preparing for this, it's just tipped me that I've gone off the boil a little bit when it comes to slice of life. I'm a little bit too business-like. I need to go back to that, because 12 months ago I was writing slice of life emails, and I know people were liking them because they were telling me, right? So I'm not doing as much of that now. So I really make a resolution to go back to do more of it in terms of text-based copy. I am doing slice of life content, but it's video content now. I'm doing a lot of video content. I'm doing about 5 videos a week, and I've developed this new series. Basically, it's a slice of life series, a street walk, okay? Because I think, well, hey, I should leverage what I've got going for me, and that is I'm a digital nomad. I'm in crazy countries, and sometimes I have some funny experiences. So, but at the same time, I want to give people some value. So I record a video, a tips series on how to do this, how to do that, right? And but I do it instead of just doing it in a sterile lounge room or something like that. I'm more often than not, I'm walking through the streets with my selfie stick, and it's a bit rough and ready, but people seem to like it, and I'm building a brand around that now. Okay, so I am doing slice of life, but not so much in using the print word now, more with the video. But slice of life works. It could be anything. You had a funny experience in the supermarket today. People say to me, they say, "Oh, well, I've got nothing interesting to talk about when it comes to slice of life." I say, my attitude is baloney. You do. You have interesting things happen to you every day of the week. Every day of the week. It could be the smallest little thing, the smallest little idea, and then you can develop a story. It might only be 4 paragraphs, and then you can somehow figure out a way of linking that to a business message. So the slice of life kind of story sucks them in, and then as long as you've got integrity to the linking from the slice of life, this lifestyle story or whatever it is, to your business point, it needs to be done well. Otherwise, it'll look fake and phony, and people will tune out. Another one which I spoke about on the last lesson was pick a fight, or provocation is perhaps more the technical term for it. Use provocation. This is where you become a little bit controversial. Okay, so you create a subject line that challenges existing beliefs. So it could be about a particular marketing technique, right? For instance, I could write one about video marketing. I always get into trouble with this because people think that I'm denigrating video marketing. Well, how could I be denigrating video? I mean, that's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. How could I be denigrating video marketing when I'm using it almost every day of the week? You know, I'm recording 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7 videos a week. I love video marketing. I've done great with it. But what I might do, I've certainly done it on Facebook, is that I take on the established belief that Facebook Live, for instance, is the only way to go. Well, I'm just saying it's not the only way to go in terms of video content. Sure, Facebook will show it to more people, but it's not necessarily the only way to go. And these video evangelists basically denigrating text-based content, and that's just a load of nonsense. It's rubbish. It's just total rubbish. So all I'm saying is let's strike a balance. But I could pick a fight with an email, and that would get with an email subject line challenging this belief. In fact, I think I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it today. About video marketing. I could have a subject line, why video marketing sucks, right? Now that's provocative, isn't it? And then, of course, they read the email content and they say, they see that, I'm not actually denigrating video marketing in totality. I'm just saying, so I would be able to justify that headline. That's all I'm saying. And then somehow I could get into a bit of a pitch about some offer that I've got, right? This is where you might, if you're a real affiliate marketer, you might get hold of a video marketing training product as an affiliate and promote that, you see. So even though you started out denigrating video marketing, you could then justify it by saying, hey, one of the reasons why video marketers don't do as well as they thought is because their content is rubbish, or they don't target their audience properly, etc. That's why I'm excited about bringing this particular offer to you, because this guy has put together this video training and it's absolutely awesome. Let me share with you just what a few people have said about it. Then you'd include a few. I'm writing a sales letter for you, aren't I? Anyway, enough of that. Subject line examples. I'll just whip through these quite quickly. Now, these are here are examples of subject lines that have worked well in the past. This one, re. That one works well. Yeah, re. Your call. Now, this one's a bit cheeky. It's a bit naughty because it suggests that the recipient has phoned you, when of course they haven't phoned you. Okay, but you got to be careful with it, because you might get people annoyed that they kind of tricked you to open the email. But you can get around that. You can write some copy that will basically justify it, right? You say you might use a bit of humor and say, of course you didn't call me, but I was waiting for your call. In my previous email, I gave you my phone number and you didn't call me. I was just wondering, did you call me, leave a message, or you didn't call me? I'm just not sure, right? So that's how I would do it. That's how I would handle it. But that one will get your emails open for sure. Google takes me for a ride. Bit of provocation there, married to a bit of curiosity. What's this all about? Okay, Google takes me, the big G. Take on the big boys. See, anything that takes on the big boys. One of the strategies that Apple used in the 90s was provocation, pick a fight. And they picked a fight with I think, it was with IBM, because they were bringing out their iMac, their new laptop, okay, or desktop. And they wanted to pick a fight with the old grey computers that pervaded, people that were everywhere, that's what people had in their homes, etc. So they'd run ads on TV, print media, you name it, basically making fun of the other side, making fun of IBM, which at that time was still the dominant force when it came to computers. I think they also poked fun at Microsoft. I can't remember, but the guy that spearheaded that was a guy called Guy Kiyosaki, and he wrote a book about it. I read the book, really good. Okay, so Google takes me for a ride. Here's another one for you. New video, in parentheses, more parentheses, video blog post. Make your lead magnet sexy. Sexy is a good word. Lead magnet, 2 more good words. Okay, so that one works. 99% of online marketers have no clue about this. Okay, so this is asking people to step up and become one of the 1%. That's what that's about, isn't it? So you can take all of these and modify them for your business. Anything with you, your, start with you or your, that works, because it's the most important. You is the most important word in the English language, and of course the derivative of that is your. So there's some general examples for you. There's some more examples, more specific. Curiosity, shock, emotions examples. Photos enclosed, do not bend. So this is a curiosity pitch, isn't it? Photos enclosed, do not bend. So when they open up the email, it could be a photo, a digital photo, sure, but a bit of a play on words, do not bend. Obviously, we're talking digital here, so there's not going to be any real photos. Why I like pool bars. Now, what's that got to do with business? Well, this could be a lifestyle story, okay? You could tell a story about the last resort that you stayed at, and whilst you're at that resort, you were thinking about the life ahead, or what you're going to be doing the next 3 months, and that's when you made a resolution that things are going to change, and that represented a turning point. You see what I'm saying? But the headline there, why I like pool bars, will help to get the emails opened. Chucklehead does 3.8 million first 2 years online. Okay, this is using a bit of humor combined with an appeal to greed. And there's a time frame there. 3.8 million in sales in the first 2 years online. Wow. See, appeal to greed. But a bit of comedy there, Chucklehead. Confessions about last night. Ooh, curiosity again. What's that about? Got the idea? I cried over this. This is an emotional one. All right, I cried over this. That's a good one. Can you think of a circumstance that made you very unhappy? It could be business related. It could be on the personal side. The key, of course, is to link it to a business story. All right, so we're creating little parables here. Negative headline examples. I quit. That's a good one. That works. I'm out of here. I've used all of these. Things are bad. Yep. One word. ... Crazy. Don't take it personally, but I hate technology. You know, 70% of the population hate technology, maybe more than that. They'll love that. They'll open it up. Jim became a millionaire fast. Well, who is Jim? Who's this Jim? You haven't got the full name there. Just Jim became a millionaire fast. Who is that? Obviously, you'd need to have a story that revolves around a guy called Jim. See, so these are third-party stories. You don't have to have a hot story. You just use other people's stories. And let's look at the body copy. Once you've gotten them to open the email, well, clearly they need to, you want them to read the opening, the first part of the email. Because if they don't read the first part, they're not going to read the latter part, are they, apart from the PS? So you need to have a great opening. You could just open with a single sentence, asking a question. We'll have a look at examples shortly. The last paragraph flows to the next. So let's say it's a 6-paragraph email, an 8-paragraph email. By the way, each paragraph could be very short. The last paragraph flows to the next. Okay, so the last paragraph, or particularly the last sentence in the last paragraph, sets it up for people to read the next paragraph. You understand? Okay. Break up the text. Break up the text. Avoid blocky text like the plague. It's the biggest turnoff, because people will see all of that text and they think, oh my goodness, a massive text. I'm not going to wade through that. So look, this is a seductive process. So we have to entice people into the copy. And if the copy is good, they will keep reading. But if first impressions do count. So if they just scan just a massive text, well, chances are they're going to leave. They're going to quit on you. So you need to break up the text. How are you going to do that? You do it with smaller sentences, smaller paragraphs, bullet points. How else? Lots of other ways of doing it. But they're the main ones. Italics, bold, color text, or color highlights under the text. Yellow works well. Tell a story. Tell a story, the narrative, keep coming back to that. Tell a story. Lead with a story. I remember this time, just last week, I was out shopping. Something like that, okay? Call to action. If it's a selling type email, and let's be realistic here, probably at least half of them are going to be selling promotional type emails, you need to have a call to action. Ask them to take action at least once. Consider also including a call to action in the PS. Consider using the call to action in the last part of your email. So if you're leading with value, rather than being a 100% pitch style email, you lead with value first, and then you include the call to action towards the end of the email. Use the words in the subject line in your call to action when appropriate. So let's say, you had a desire for gain type email. Jim sold $2 million worth of XXX within his first 3 years. All right, so what I would do is I'd take, in the call to action, I would take that subject line, I might vary it just slightly, learn how Jim, sold $3 million of XXX in 3 years. Then I would bold it, and then I would create a hot link, and then I'd put my affiliate link in there. So they see the headline repeated in the body copy. That's a proven technique, and I use it where possible. Okay, so I take the subject line, I put it into the body copy, I create a hot link, and then I paste I paste the affiliate link in, and it becomes a hot link. Okay, so they click on the words again, the subject line words, they click on them again. It's just, yeah, it's been proven to help improve your click-through rate. That finishes the formal